Okay, welcome to part 2 of how to make an apple pie. I didn't want you to have to watch the apple peeling process because that would have been boring, but you can see that I have now filled my bottom crust with apple pie slices. You can see about like the size, it varies a little bit, but peeled and sliced the apples so that they fill your pie plate. You can use any apples that you have on hand. These happen to be Pink Lady, but I've used Gala, Fuji, whatever you have on hand, basically, you can use. It might have a little different flavor or a little different texture on the inside, but you can basically use any kind. So we have our apples in our pie. Now, the next step would be we need to put sweetener and some thickener along with some spice in these apples. So I'm going to get a bowl. And I'm going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. You can use white sugar if you want. I very seldom use white sugar. I use natural granulated sugar unbleached, but you can use whatever sugar you have. So 1/2 cup of sugar. Then I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So, got 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, it's a 3-pound bag of apples that you're going to need for this size pie, 10-inch pie plate. And if you have made a smaller pie or a larger one, you would have to adjust the cornstarch accordingly. So for 3 pounds of apples, generally speaking, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch will work. Some people use tapioca to thicken as well, but I always have used cornstarch. Then I'm going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon. So I've got a teaspoon of cinnamon here. And now I'm going to mix that together so it's smooth, because the cornstarch is a little clumpy. So you just mix it till it's nice and smooth and all incorporated together, so that you don't have clumps of cornstarch. And it looks very lovely, just like that. Then what I do is I just sprinkle it over the top of my apples. Some people mix the apples in with it. I just have never done that. I don't think it's necessary, but if you would like to do that, you could also do that way. So sprinkle that evenly over all the apples. And then I'm going to add a couple more ingredients. I'm going to add some bits of butter. Just kind of top it with butter. Just maybe like 4 or 5 little chunks of butter that we're going to put on the top here like that. And this makes it just yummy, yummy, yummy. And then I'm going to add a tablespoon of lemon juice. I happen to have fresh squeezed lemon juice because I have lemon trees, but any kind of lemon juice will work. So I'm just going to just pour a tablespoon of lemon juice and sprinkle that over the top like that. And now I'm going to put my top crust on. Okay, so here's my top crust, remember? And I'm going to just put it on the edge and roll it carefully like that so it covers all of the apples. I'm just going to make it a little bit even. Now, before I forget it, I'm going to turn on my oven to get it ready for the pie to go in. We're going to start the pie at 425 degrees and bake it at 425 for 10 minutes. So I'm going to start my oven. And then I'm going to come back here, and all along the edges of my pie, you can see the bottom layer and the top layer. Well, I'm going to turn it under like this. So I'm turning all the edges all around so that the top crust kind of folds under the bottom crust. Everything is turned in like this. Tucking it right in there, just like making a bed. Tuck it right in. All around. If you happen to have too much, like a little bit extra crust, I just take a little bit off and discard it. unless you have a child around who would like to eat the raw dough. Continue on all of that. And now I'm going to flute it so it's fancy. So I'm going to take my fingers like this and then a finger like this, and I'm going to push in to the dough all around. I'm pushing in with this finger, holding these two, and pushing in with this all around the pie so that it'll be nice and fancy. And the dough is easy to manipulate, so you just push it gently in, and then you'll have a beautiful edge, just like that, right there. The next step is to take a knife, and I usually just take the one that I peeled my apples with, and I'm going to make like a semicircle in the middle. We want to add venting for the pie, so I'm making like a smiley face in the middle of the pie, and then I'm going to make 3 little cuts on either side of the smiley face. Sometimes I get it nice and evenly, sometimes I don't. Today I'm a little off, so it's not quite symmetrical, but you've got the markings here, and those that adds the air vents for the pie. And I'm just going to make sure that cut through there. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a little bit of milk. Not very much at all, just a tiny bit of milk. And I'm going to get my brush, my pastry brush. Okay, and I'm going to take that milk with my pastry brush, and I'm just going to paint my pie. Painting all around my pie. This helps the pie brown in the oven. You don't have to do it, but it'll be a nice brown color if you do that. And just painting all over my pie. I need just a tad more. Just enough to paint the entire surface of the pie. Okay. Yeah, so now my pie is totally covered with milk. The edges are fluted, and I have the vents in the top. And now I'm going to put it in the oven as soon as the oven is preheated. I will bake it for 10 minutes at 425, and then I will turn the oven down to